up first, we are joined by Titomic with the ticker code TTT, a 3D printing technology provider to manufacturers. To tell us more, I am joined by Managing Director, Herbert Koeck. Good morning.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Let me bring up your presentation.
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity today. And I would say, before getting us forward into what we are doing and how we are doing and what progress we have made in the last year, I would like to ground us and get you a little bit of a background on what Titomic is all about. Okay, and Titomic, as you may know, is a small startup company which is Melbourne based. We are at the ASX with ticker symbol TTT, and we are monetizing and commercializing cold spray technology, where we are using some patents originally coming from CSIRO, and where we have the exclusive rights to commercialize. The technology as such is certainly interesting. I learned a lot also over the course of the last year on getting into that business, but it is simply overcoming a lot of the barriers which exist in traditional 3D printing. Mainly, I'm talking about size and speed. So technically, what we are doing, and I know some of you know this and have heard this already, but think about what we are really doing is we are taking a metal powder, and that could be any kind of metal, that could be aluminum, that could be copper, but also could be hard metals like titanium and invar. We accelerate that metal powder literally to supersonic speed, hence the story which you have on the headline here with the supersonic opportunity. We push that gas stream, which is enriched with a metal powder, through a nozzle, and whenever that gas stream bumps against a scaffold or a substrate, the metal particles start to bond with each other and form a metal. Fascinating, and it really allows us to drive a high deposition rate. So we are talking about we can depose kilos per hour, and we also can cover very large surfaces. That can be applied now actually into two big groups of applications. One of them is definitely that we can do coating services. So we can put a thin layer of metal onto something, most of the time onto metal. And that has an application, as you can see, and I will talk about it a little bit later on in terms of radiation shielding. And simply putting metal onto metal can also be used for repairing metal equipment, which is very interesting in the mining industry and oil and gas and some other places. And if you continue to do so, so building layer after layer, you also can start building three-dimensional structures. What we are using, for example, and that's also the reason why we are keen to get into additive manufacturing. I think we are, as Titomic, we are in a super strategically important position right now, and we've started to tick off many of these boxes, which at the end of the day are the foundation of a successful business. Let me share a couple of thoughts about the details, what I mean by that one. I think there is no conversation anywhere in the market that additive manufacturing is making its inroads into modern manufacturing. And so any provider of such a technology has a tailwind because of the fast growing markets. Okay, there is a lot of data out in the market, but I still think the growth rate of the additive manufacturing market, and specifically on metals, which is even higher than the standard growth rate, is on the 30+ for the years ahead, and in some cases even faster. That's an important element because we are betting jointly together on a market which is growing. Okay, while many other markets, as you know, are not. Then the question is, how far advanced is the technology? Okay, and you all know, and we also went through the process in some of the cases where some of the technologies are coming forward to the market premature, where they cannot master certain parts of the process overall. But what you see on the chart in the middle, a proven technology ready now, is a study actually from AM Power, which is a German research institute, which are surveying the market every year and give an indication on how mature is a specific technology. And what these guys are stating, and these are not Titomic numbers, but AM Power numbers, is that a cold spray as a technology will get into commercial use, into industrial use in the next 2 years. And actually, that's totally in line with what we are seeing right now. And we are driving this commercialization, actually. And we are very confident that the commercialization of Titomic has started already. And I'll give you a couple of proof points in a minute from now. The next thing you need to have, beside the market and the technology which can be used to commercialize, is you have to have the right people. Okay, and what you see here is, I want to say here loud and clear that both my leadership team, as well as all the employees at Titomic, but also my board, we are coming from a very mature markets. We are very experienced. There is great skill sets available also in the board, with a board member in the US, 2 in Europe, and 3 in Australia. We are very much well settled in the industries and can connect at the highest levels with the companies we are targeting. Now, let me go to the status of where we are on the commercialization. Okay, on the lower left-hand side, you're seeing these are all logos of customers which have ordered from us already. That's very important. And if I want to highlight one or the other, you can see very prominent brands names in there. But for example, we just could close the machine sale and installation, and also will recognize revenue as such with DWI in the UK, which was the first machine of its kind, $2.3 million, which is great to see that it all came through in the last fiscal year. At the same time, you're seeing some customer names up there, which are new. For example, companies like Browntel, which are service company in the mining fields in Australia. And we are just expanding our partnership with these guys, because they can see the value that you can use cold spray with our mobile units and do repair work in the mining fields in situ, which is very important, because they don't need to bring the equipment in, which is corroded. They can repair wherever this heavy equipment is. And as you all know, in the mining fields, there is a lot of heavy equipment out there. Okay, now the next stuff you need to have, beside the market, the people and customers to start with, is also compelling products. Okay, and I'm very proud to say that also with the acquisition of Dycomet in Europe, which we completed in December last year, we got now a very complete and broad portfolio in the cold spray arena. Actually, I would say we are most advanced amongst any of our competitors with the range of products we have in cold spray. Okay, we have small systems like the Titomic D523 machine, which is a mobile unit at a price point of roughly $70,000 to $80,000, depending on the configuration, up to the very large systems of an TKF 9000 system, which we operate here in our bureau in Melbourne, which can produce parts of multiple meters, technically actually up to 9 meters, as the nomenclature says out there. But last but not least, we also have worked hard over the course of the last 12 months to work through and focus. Okay, when I started, we were tackling 167 use cases actually, and today we are down to 2 categories and 2 handful of products and applications. Still a lot, but we are making progress in each and every one. And for each of these use cases, we also have a defined revenue stream, what you see on the lower right-hand side, in the sense of we're going to generate revenue on one side out of selling machinery, like many others do. But more importantly, we're going to generate revenue and financial returns out of the production of our joint ventures. So the joint venture system is an important element of our commercialization strategy, as it allows us to get into certain industry. It allows us to do manufacturing by offering our complementary technology to existing players in big markets. So we don't need to build up all the resources and trying to understand these markets. We are teaming up with big guys in existing markets. So we did with Neos, for example, in tooling in the UK. So we do with Recon on the barrel manufacturing out there. And that's a defined revenue stream, which goes on and beyond selling the machines, which is part of it. But also whenever this joint venture is going to be go operational and will start producing components and parts, we get a financial benefit. Okay, and last but not least, I call it always the kitchen we have in Melbourne, where we are having an innovation center, where we are validating use cases, where we are testing and doing work together with customers to understand, can it be done? And if yes, at the later stage, will yield to further joint ventures and to production of parts. Now, we made progress in fiscal year 22. Okay, fiscal year 22 was a rough year, but very rewarding at the end of the year. And we made progress in every single cylinder. Everything is humming now, even to the point where we are really stretched in one or the other place. But just as you could see here is on the left-hand side, what I said is we have been focusing. We moved from 160 use cases, 167 use cases, down to 2 categories, 5 use cases each. And the 2 categories are building 3D structures, like tooling, like barrels, like 3D structures, or coating services, where we are in the repair services. And the progress which you see in the middle, these are agreements signed, these are orders received, this is revenue recognized in some cases. Okay, we signed a NEOS JV with a company in the UK, where at this stage we are working on the configuration of the machine that will yield going forward in the next weeks and months ahead to a machine order. Then we're going to install the machine, and then this NEOS JV becomes operational. Same on Repcon, on the barrel manufacturing. We have completed already the Vetropack, which is a huge glass bottle manufacturer, a leading glass bottle manufacturer back in Austria. Just coincidence, because I'm Austrian, so I think I have the best possible relationship to start with these guys. We completed on DWI, and also our services sales have been ramping. With the acquisition of Dycomet, as you may know, is we got also access to their portfolio, to this mobile system. And just as a starting point, you have seen recent announcements. We have sold a machine here to Asia Pacific. We have sold a couple of machines here in Australia. We have sold the first machine into the transportation business. And this is continuing as the machines and the solutions are resonating very well with these existing service companies, where they suddenly can do now jobs faster and better because they're using cold spray as a technology. The best example I would share here is if you do repair on fuel tanks by welding, obviously you make sure is that the fuel tank is empty before you weld and transfer a lot of energy and heat into the fuel tank. If you're using cold spray, you don't need to empty the fuel tanks. Okay, so you can do that repair without having the hassle of emptying the fuel tanks beforehand. At the same time, we are also going into completely new territories. You may have seen the announcement where we have gotten the first minor, small order, but very strategically important with our radiation shield with Fleet Space. And at the same time, we're also validating right now titanium structure and tanks with a couple of other suppliers. So with that said, let me summarize overall. Fiscal year 22, big change in the company, change in the sense of that we zoomed in, we narrowed down on few use cases, and instead of being a mile wide and an inch deep, we have reversed that thing. So we are getting deep now and focus on a few use cases, and over time, going to expand once again in the other direction, but only after we are generating the revenue and getting the business success in return. We have a lot of the ingredients in place. We have the right team. We have a great and growing market. We have a clear understanding strategically what are these hills we want to climb going forward, which are described in the strategy paper, which you see an excerpt of it on the left-hand side. And we're going to execute. Execution is now key. So there is no more room for thinking about what the kind of industries we're going to disrupt. We have a clear charter ahead of us, and that's what we are executing in the days and the weeks and months ahead. With that one, I thank you for listening to me, and I'm available for questions.
Well, thank you for the great presentation, Herbert. We've had a few questions come through. We have run slightly over, so I'll jump into them. So when will we be seeing more joint ventures?
Absolutely, yes. Okay, as the joint venture concept is a key ingredient of our commercialization strategy, because it allows us to go into certain manufacturing markets faster than if we would build the same competencies out of the greenfield ourselves. Okay, there are existing players. NEOS, for example, does have a relationship in the tooling market. They have the relationship with the big players like Rolls-Royce and Airbus and Boeing. There's nothing we can add to these relationships. We are adding complementary technology which allows them to produce products faster. That's the reason what they like, and that's the reason why they're engaging with us.
Thanks, Herbert. And just one final one. So what is the biggest revenue opportunity in front of you?
In every of these revenue streams, which I shared with you, there are a lot of opportunities ahead. Okay, so obviously the number one or two things now is the revenue stream, which comes from the Revcon JV and from the NEOS JV, and a third, the revenue which is going to come for us expanding in the glass manufacturing industry with the solution we have placed already. And then now we are replicating to the many other glass manufacturing companies in the world. And the fourth revenue stream is simply the services companies where we are placing our mobile systems. And this is going to continue where we're going to sell actually as many as we can and as many as we can manufacture at this point in time fast enough to the services industries for mining fields and oil and gas.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Herbert. As I did mention, there are a few questions that are coming through. However, I would recommend the webinar attendees reach out to Herbert directly via the contact details on the bottom of their website. But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day.